Hey, welcome back to the Brewery Underground podcast. Steve Sullivan here. I see Scott Touron as well. The Chancellor of Craft Beer has returned. And Scott, it's morning. Good morning. It's the day after 4th of July when we're recording this. Are you ready, my friend?
Yeah, man. Happy 5th. I'm still recovering from yesterday, but I've got a little hair of the dog over here.
Are you going to plead the 5th on how much you had to drink on the 4th of July?
I don't think I even kept track of it. I quit after a certain amount.
It just kept going and going and going.
It just kept going.
Yeah. Hey, we were going to bring in right away two guys that from the beer community that we've known for a while. Keith and Coop, all the way from Delaware, joining us today. Guys, we're going to say good morning because where we are, it's morning, and where you guys are, it's morning too.
It is. Hey, Wayne. We're in Delaware. Where is Delaware?
Where the heck is
What's
Delaware?
up, guys? What's up, guys? Hey, thanks for being on. You know, it's funny when you guys were one of the first ones to reach out to us on social media, and you were like, "Hey, we're listening in Delaware," and I was like, "What? Huh? How the hell did you find us in Delaware? From Delaware? It was great."
Social media is a great thing.
You guys are known in the beer community as Porch Beers USA, and so it's great to have you here. And you know what? I see that you all are sitting on a deck, and you've already started drinking today. Is that right?
I just started.
What you got?
They're literally sitting on a porch drinking beer.
Well, I'm opening up a beer. This is from the Millersburg Brewing Company. And I figure, you know what, may as well start with something like a breakfast something or other. This is the Pegasus White Caramel Latte Stout. So I'm going to open up my beer here and see how it goes. What are you guys drinking?
I'm drinking a Big Oyster Brewing Company, the Hammerhead IPA. Comes in at 6.4. It's a West Coast style IPA. It's arguably one of my favorite IPAs from all of our travels, and it's 45 minutes down the road. Love it.
All right, awesome. What about you?
I'm drinking waffle cones, mint chocolate chip cream ale.
Ooh.
From Accent Arrow in New Jersey.
Nice.
Beautiful. That's a nice breakfast beer.
What did that come in at?
6%.
Oh, I thought that came in way higher than that.
Yeah, mine's like 5.25%. I forgot to mention that. So yeah.
Well, I don't have beer. I have coffee. However, there's some Wild Turkey 101 in it, so mine comes in at 101 proof. So a little hair of the dog, still waking up.
Go Scott, go.
Yeah, man, had to get a little something to get going with the coffee.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling good.
Exactly.
Huh?
He said, "Shut up, liver. You're fine."
Oh man, we're glad that you guys have joined us because we met you earlier this year. You guys were coming through Nashville on your way on your journey to wherever the heck you were going, and we met you at Living Waters over in East Nashville. And you guys welcomed us into the beer community, and we appreciate it because, you know, we had started this podcast maybe a couple of months prior and said, talk about that. So you guys had heard about us and said, hey, man, you guys are part of the beer community now, so we got to meet up with you.
Yeah, we were in Phoenix celebrating our 1,000th brewery, and we had the crazy idea of flying one way to Phoenix and then renting a minivan and driving all the way back home. Took us 7 days? Yeah, 7 days. And I just at all the stops we were going to make, I just looked for beer friends, and you know, seeing things would line up and we can meet, you know, in person, which is always great for us. And you guys were on the list, and you guys said yeah. So
absolutely. And you had somebody else with you too, or at least he came over. Keith from What's Brewing Next was with you guys as well, so we got to meet him at the same time as a kind of a twofer, if you will.
Yeah.
Or threefer.
Yeah, definitely more the merrier.
Yeah, no, that was a good time. I remember they were a little short staffed that night there too, with those lines really pretty long to go get beer.
Yeah.
It was like one guy, and it was trivia night, and poor dude. I told the guy, I was like, I can't believe you ever walked out yet. He goes, I'm really close, but thank God he didn't.
Yeah, I remember thinking that night. I felt bad for him, thinking, I could probably had beer delivered from a grocery store quicker, to where we were sitting outside. Yeah. And it was nothing against them, because Living Waters is a great place, but it was just that night they were a little understaffed. But the beer's still good, and we're glad that you guys had met up with us. So since that time, you said that you had accomplished like 1,000 breweries at this point across the country. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. When did you guys start that? When did you like begin, where it all began? We're like, okay, how did that all happen?
Well, there's two different starts, right? So the first beer trip was back in 2012.
Yep.
We went up to Ithaca, New York, and checked out Warhorse and a handful of other breweries and a lot of wineries, and had a great trip. And then we kept doing little trips, and then in 2020, Keith found a one-way ticket to Denver, Colorado for, I think it was like $40 or something stupid.
Yep.
And he was like, "You want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so we flew one way, rented a car. We rented this little, I don't even know what it was. It was a little Matchbox car, and we walked out, and the attendant was like, "Do you want to upgrade to a minivan?" And Keith was like, "Absolutely not." And I was like, "We absolutely do. Do you understand how much beer we can fit in the back of a fucking minivan?" Yes, we want a minivan. So that's how the minivan started.
They had, they had like 20 minivans, and like, please take one.
Yeah. So now so we were on the way home on that trip, and we were posting on our own individual social medias, and the reaction from our crazy trip was pretty comical. So we decided to start what is now Porch Beers USA. So
yeah.
And from that point back, were you able to go back and remember all the places you had been to before, so that you kind of got them all?
Yeah, Keith had been doing a really good job at keeping track of that stuff from day one, pretty much. I don't know why you started keeping track of them, because we weren't doing anything with it, but
well, it's because the whole social media thing, and I saw other people were like posting, "Hey, I'm at this is brewery 500 and something," or "I'm at brewery 200 and something," and I'm like, "Hey, I think we've been to quite a few," and I didn't know at that point. And I keep all my stickers from breweries in a box. And just one day I started counting them and looking through pictures, and I'm just started making a list. And before you know it, we're at 800 and something. And
yeah,
I'm like,
I was just gonna say, do you ever come across one every now and then? You're like, you know what, shit, I forgot about that one because it was so long ago. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. And I asked that because we do.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, because we're kind of the same way. We started after we've been to many, right? We kind of started this thing, so now a lot of it's going back in, trying to remember, keeping a list, and every now and then I'll come across one or come across a sticker and like, oh shit, that's not on the list.
Yeah. Coop will, ask me every now and then, like, "Hey man, have we been here? It looks familiar." And I'm like, "Yeah, no," and then even from myself. I'll go to there's been a couple times I've gone to a brewery thinking it's a new place, and I walk in, I'm like, "This looks familiar."
Yeah.
and then luckily sometimes Google reminds me of, "Hey asshole, you've been here."
Yeah, thank God for modern technology.
Yeah. Another one to do too. I'll go and untap sometimes too, and like, okay, I know I've had beer from this place, but have I been to the place?
Yeah,
and just, okay, here's the beer. Yeah, and then it's like, okay, here's why I checked it in. It wasn't at the actual brewery. So yeah, it's
first world problems, guys. First world problems. I'm telling you. So have you guys ever can you even imagine like how many miles you've driven just to get to breweries across the country? Can you even quantify that? A lot, right?
A lot.
Yeah.
We've done 4 cross country trips?
Denver, Dallas, Phoenix are the three one-way trips that we've done, but we've driven to Boston 3 times. We've driven to Asheville twice, plus stopping through there on our cross-country trips. Yeah, it'd be a lot. I don't know what I'm sure we could figure it out.
Yeah, and then even family vacations, you got to stop at a couple of breweries. So there's that. I mean,
it's just a lot. And how many states have you tracked? How many states you've been in as far as like breweries?
46.
46. Which states have you not been that you need to get to?
Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Iowa.
Okay.
That sounds like that could be a trip, right? Maybe one big trip, but you kind of hit them all. That's a lot of distance between them. I get it because they're big states, but that could be a trip. Just knock all 4 of them out.
Yeah, they're on the list. We'll get there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you keep track of the number of cities as well?
No.
Okay, it's a whole nother set of problems. It's a whole nother thing to keep up with, isn't it?
We can only track so much shit.
Yeah, exactly. You got so much beer to track.
Gotta
remember, you gotta have time to drink the beer
along
too.
the way. We can only keep track of so much stuff.
Yeah, because you actually have to drink the beer too at some point. So sit there just taking notes.
That's one of the things from talking to different friends that do what we do. Everybody defines what's a brewery visit in a different way. Mm-hmm. And so for us, it's a beer. If we go in and we each have a beer, or if I'm at the brewery in Keysnot or vice versa, if we have a beer, that counts. We've talked to other folks that they have to have 2 and talk to the brewmaster and get a picture with the beer tender. And then some of these guys have some pretty elaborate rules as to what constitutes a brewery. For us, it's one beer. If we go in and have one beer, it counts.
I remember the night that we were at Living Waters, and there were a group of us there, and I remember part of this conversation where I heard somebody say, you guys, or somebody has even met people that they don't even consider flights as a legit check-in. Have you guys heard something like that too? Like, because I'm a flight guy. Does anybody else say, yeah, if I'm doing my criteria, a flight, I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I'm not a big flight fan. I'm not a big flight fan. I don't like mixing all the flavors. I just like to let's get one and I'm all in. I'm gonna drink it, and 99% of the time I'm gonna enjoy it. So
and then your new routine.
Yeah, so I guess it was about a year and a half ago I stopped ordering my own beer. I go up and I look at the list and then tell the beer tender, with the exception of this, that, and the other, your choice off the list. And it's crazy the differences in each beer tender and what they pour. Sometimes they'll be like, here's a Pilsner. You're going to love it. And I'm like, there are some really inventive Pilsners, but it's normally a very tame choice, right? And then we were at Broken Arrow, I think, right? Mm-hmm. Broken Arrow in New Mexico, and that beer tender pulled out like the most in-depth beer they had on their menu. It was a barrel aged that was unreal. It had more flavors, and it was amazing. But I love the idea of just, I don't know what I'm going to get, and it might be something crazy, or it might be a Pilsner. You never know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We just talked to Joe Geyer. You guys know him. And he said something along those lines where he might go somewhere, get a flight. He'll pick out the first 3 and let them pick one. For that same reason, they might give you something that they're known for, like that brewery might be known for. And let me, or show something off, like, you might not have ordered yourself.
Yeah. The best part for me is when he does that. Sometimes you get a beer tender that they're up for the challenge, and they're like, okay, I got you, and they'll pour something really good, and here, try that.
Yeah.
And then you have beer tenders that are scared that they're going to piss him off.
Yeah.
that that they're going to pour my beer, and he's like, this is shit, and just throw it across the brewery.
Yeah. I don't think I'd ever do that.
I know. It's like, no, he said you pick, he'll drink it.
Yeah. And you give it back. What the hell were you thinking? Why would you give me this?
I like that strategy. I really do.
They inevitably always say, well, what kind of beer do you like?
Yeah.
I like cold beer.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Thank
all
you.
I'm giving you. Like, I want you to give me what you think I should drink. Like, because it's either your best seller, it's your favorite beer on the menu. That's what I'm looking for, because they know better than I do about their specific brewery, right? Like, I'm there for the first time, so I don't know. I'm winging it. So I might as well let them guide me in the right direction. And like Keith said, sometimes they're super creative and throw some super hoppy IPA at me. And then other times they're like, here's a Pilsner. I don't get it. I don't know.
And it's not like you're walking in like somebody who doesn't even know what the stuff is. Like, oh, I don't know what an IPA is. I don't know what, you're staring at the board. It's not that. It's like, okay, I know what all this stuff is. Surprise me.
Yeah, because I've ruled out the ones that I don't want, right? Like I've said, you can keep the cream ale, you can keep the Hefeweizen, and everything else on the menu is fair game. So I've ruled out what I won't drink just to protect myself, really, because I'm not gonna let the beer sit on the bar. But I've given you, in my mind, I've given you an idea of what I will drink and what I won't. I just think it's fun, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It is.
I think it's a cool strategy. It might be something to try. To go in there and like, okay, I don't know anything about anything you guys have. Surprise me, and maybe pull out something from underneath the bar or from the back or something where it's like,
well, they did that
just
up
the
in
thing
Queens, right? Wasn't that we were up in Queens and they gave us a fried chicken beer?
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
Really?
Yeah, they gave us. Is it an IPA? Yeah. I drank mine. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was double IPA.
A double IPA that was brewed with fried chicken.
They really had. Really? Could you get the chicken from it? Could you?
A little.
Really?
It was. I was really nervous to drink it for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So it sat in the fridge for a good month or so before I dove into it. But after I had one sip, I was like, I wish I had a 6-pack. This stuff is pretty good. I forget what brewery it was, though. Do you remember?
I don't.
I think they thought we were somebody else. I think they thought we were a different Porch beers on social. And when we told them who they were, like, we follow you. And I was like, I don't think you do, but I'm not going to tell you no. We're going to see where this goes. And we got a small batch fried chicken beer out of the deal. So I was like, that's perfect.
That's hilarious.
You can think we're anybody you want us to be,
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I'll
right.
be Mel Gibson if it gets me the right beer. I don't know.
There you go.
Hand it over.
Yeah.
That's right. Hey, so you guys, obviously, you do go to a lot of breweries across the country. You guys are big on beer fest too, right? And this is kind of that time of year for a bunch of them.
Yeah, some might say that. Yeah.
Have you kept track of how many beer fests you've been to? Is that a thing?
Not total, but just for giggles. Last year, it seemed like I was like either just me or both of us were constantly going to beer festivals, and then I saw other people posting like how many beer festivals they went to that year, and I'm like, hey, let me count them up, and I think together we went to like 19 beer festivals last year.
Holy shit! Holy shit!
And trust me, by the time I got to 17, I was like, I don't know if I want to go.
Another festival.
A couple of them.
So. Holy crap!
Those are fun, aren't they? I mean, because you still can drink the beer, but you get to talk to everyone. That's a really good. And you're not selling them anything either. Just coming to get your beer.
Right. And a new thing that we started this year, for one, to be able to talk to more people, and two, to cut down the price. We started volunteering at whatever beer festivals we can. It's easy. It helps set up. and they give you a glass, and then once the beer festival starts, you just go around and drink beer like we were going to be, and we got in for free, and then at the same time we got to talk to breweries and help set them up and get our name out, and so I thought it was a win-win, and it's been working out. So
yeah, those are really fun. I've done them. It's been a long time, but I've done them, and it's just my buddy Calvin and I did one several years ago, and we got the PBR table. Because the guy doing it he couldn't do it. They said, "All right, you guys are on the PBR table." We were the first keg to blow. We were having so much fun talking to people.
You were.
Yeah. People were walking by and they wouldn't make eye contact because it was PBR, and we're like, "No, I see you. Get over here and have this. This is what your grandfather was drinking, you know." And we blew the damn keg before anybody else did in the whole damn beer fest. That was a lot of fun.
So
So what were you? That's a good question. What were you guys drinking before craft beer when we just had all the regular stuff out there? Can you even remember?
Keith wasn't drinking beer.
Nope.
Keith was drinking rum.
Yeah, all right.
I turned him on to craft beer slowly but surely, right around 2010, 2011. And then we finally got him to go on a trip in 2012. And then he's been dragging me on trips ever since.
Created a monster.
My first legal 6-pack was PBR for $2.99.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So that was my first legal 6-pack. How should I put this? I'm a avid consumer of Miller Lite, I guess.
Yeah.
When I'm not drinking craft beer. I was a big rum guy for a long time, like Keith was, that's kind of where we started drinking rum together. But yeah, I got into beer a bit before Keith did.
So I was going to ask you what your guilty pleasure is. It's not a craft beer, so yours is PBR. Coop. Keith, do you have one? Like just a go-to? I
don't know that I'm guilty of PBR. There's none in my fridge right now. Just for the record. There's a 30-pack of Miller Lite, but there's no PBR. I don't know.
30-pack of Miller Lite. All right.
I've actually got 2 PBRs in my fridge right now.
There's always a 30-pack of Miller Lite in my fridge. Always.
Keith, have you got a go-to or just a guilty pleasure? Or is it all craft beer?
99% of the time is craft.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it depends. Like if I'm in a restaurant or out somewhere and they just got your basic beers, then I'll choose like a Miller Lite, Yingling, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. I'm curious. You guys, obviously, you travel the country, and the beer community, as we know, is so large. How often do people reach out to you, like wanting recommendations of where you've been, and saying, "Hey, where should I go? What should I do?" What do you tell them?
There's been a handful of times since the word's been getting out of our beer travels, and either they'll reach out to us, knowing that we've been there, and I'll give them some recs, or somebody will post like, "Hey, I'm going to Cincinnati. What do you people recommend?" And then I'll chime in and I'll send them a message. I'm like, "Hey, go." So.
Yeah, you guys had mentioned you had some recommendations for Cincinnati when we met up with you, and we actually did them this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Went to Street Side and Mount Carmel last time we were up there.
Yep. And how were they?
Fantastic.
Oh, fantastic, yeah. I have a cousin that lives on that side of town, so he took us there, and it was really good. The only bad thing about Street Side was that by the time we got there, it was on a weeknight, and we didn't get there until after 8:00, and they were closing at 10, so we didn't get a chance to get more beer there. But I can't wait to go back there. It was a pretty tremendous place, and I remember when you guys met up with us, you were talking about Street Side.
Oh yeah,
we love Cincinnati. It's a great beer town. I mean, I don't like the Bengals, but I like.
Well, I grew up there. And I'm not the biggest Bengals fan anymore either. But as you could probably see in my background, I'm a big Reds guy. So.
Yeah, I'm a diehard Steelers fan. I bleed black and yellow, so I can't like Cincinnati from the football perspective, but I do like them from the beer perspective.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And Cleveland was a pretty good beer town too, as I remember.
Yeah, we're big fans of Ohio in general. I mean, Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati,
Akron,
great, great beer.
You guys have a favorite beer fest? Like, is there one that you go to annually is that like that's a must, or you just try to hit just different ones all the time?
Corn Maze in Boston, I would say.
Yeah, well, Boston's not. They don't. So, yeah, so I think
no, they just said what we've been to. So.
Yeah, so I think the Corn Maze is my favorite out just outside of Indianapolis. 450 North holds it. Before that, the Extreme Brew Fest that was held up in Boston for a couple of years, and now I think it's out in California now, right?
Yeah.
That one was really cool, but California's a long ways away. So it's hard to hop on a plane and fly out to California for a beer festival. Indianapolis is not exactly right around the corner, but that's where Keith's family's from. So we get to go out and see mom and dad and brothers and sisters and drink really good beer for a weekend. And so that's worth it because his parents are like my parents too. So and
plus and plus who doesn't like a beer fest in a corn maze? Come on.
Yes, that's. And the first year that they did it, when Keith told me about it, and I never even Googled it before we went. I just was like, all right, well, Keith's in charge, whatever we want to do. And so I just handed over the cash for my ticket and my flight and everything, and we flew out. And I didn't know anything about it, and I was really disappointed that there was no dead ends in the corn maze. Like you couldn't get lost; it was impossible. And so we left, and Keith was like, hey, let's do that again next year. And I was like, okay, the beer was really good, but I really hope they turn it into an actual maze as opposed to just trails that go through the corn into giant openings with all the beer. And they did. They put in dead ends the second year. And so I'm just waiting to see what they do next year to see, like, can you really get hammered and lost and you're like stuck in a corn maze for 3 or 4 days, like with whatever's left in your cup? Like, I just think that'd be awesome.
I love that you want that. I love that you want that. I want to get stuck.
I want somebody like you guys to talk to us after we've been to the corn maze and be like, so how many days were you there? Yeah. And I say, look, I had a Camelback full of water, 2 granola bars, and I was there 6 days.
with plenty of corn, though.
Right? Yeah. That's all I'm looking for. That's. I think that'd be freaking hysterical. I'm all in. Like, I hope they make it nuts, and we get lost in the middle of it. I think that'd be hysterical.
Just send drones up to look for you after about day 3.
Yeah.
I'd keep hiding in the corn. I'd just stay there as long as I had water and granola bars. Whatever.
That's all you need.
Yeah, and then the sun goes down, and you start thinking about children in the corn.
Oh my god! Oh, that's hilarious.
That is great.
It is hands down the coolest festival from a venue perspective that we've ever been to. Atlantic City is really good from a beer perspective. The Extreme Brew Fest, it's just
the flavors that just the flavors that breweries come up with is nuts.
Yeah, the Extreme Brew Fest, we went 2 years in a row, and the last beer that I had the first year, I walk up to the brewery and he's like, "Have you had lunch yet?" And I said, "No," and he handed me a beer that was a taco flavored beer. And when I tell you it was a taco flavored beer, you could taste the shell, the meat, the lettuce, the salsa, the tomato, the cheese. You could taste it all in the beer. And then the following year, the first brewery that I walked up to happened to be the same brewery. They're from Iowa or Ohio?
Illinois.
Illinois. Not close enough. It began with an I. They're from Illinois, but they had a beer that was made from Wendy's French fries and Wendy's Frosties.
Oh my gosh.
So if you've ever dipped your French fry in a Frosty, spin that around and add some beer and fuck yeah, dude. That shit was delicious.
And it was great.
It was amazing.
I'm back on the taco because I'm trying to think, how do you taste lettuce in a beer? Isn't that wild?
I don't know, but you could taste it, dude. I'm telling you, you had that beer too, right? It was like you could taste everything.
You could. I mean,
it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was like a taco salad. I mean,
it's amazing.
It was killer.
You get that. Have you ever come across, and Steve, I think you've mentioned this because you wish maybe somebody had, but like a cheeseburger and French fry beer. Like, has somebody done that anywhere? I've never seen one, but
I'm sure they have.
Seen.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
No, I haven't seen it, but I'm sure somebody has. I mean,
Sure.
some breweries come up with some crazy flavors, and some people are like, "Oh, that's gross." I'm like, "Hey, you never know. Just try it."
Yeah.
Hey, and that is funny because so when you were talking like Cincinnati, where I'm from, I remember there's a brewery up there that been through twice now. It's called Sonder, and it's up.
Yep.
If you're familiar where Kings Island is, last year I went there. As a kid growing up went to Kings Island, so they had a funnel cake beer.
Yeah.
Wasn't the best thing in the world, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway. And then this year we were there, and they had was it the blue ice Christ?
Yeah.
Was it the blue? Yeah. So they had a blue ice cream beer that actually was green when it came out on a flight. And Scott's like, did Kings Island have blue ice cream beer when you went there as a kid? I'm like, hell, I don't know. That was a long time ago. But
Yeah, but it turns out they did. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
So off the top of your head, and if you guys don't know, it's cool. Can you think of like some really weird ass beers that you had at some breweries that you just went? I never would have thought about one. I mean, you mentioned the taco one.
Yeah, Boston, every single beer that you drink up there was a Cinnabon beer that tasted just like a Cinnabon. There was
a hot Cheetos hot Cheetos beer, which
Damn,
I regretted.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
And I regretted it because everybody else chickened out. I'm like, oh, I'll try it because I love hot Cheetos. Oh, it burned all the way down.
Holy shit.
I think I think the most normal like out of the ordinary beer that we see on a regular basis, and Keith loves them, is the jalapeno beers. And we see them at our local breweries. Miss Pillion makes one that Keith likes. I'm not a big jalapeno beer guy, but they're pretty prevalent. They're all over. That would be the most out of the ordinary. I mean, in my mind, I think, right, aside from the Extreme Brew Fest, that's kind of the most out of the ordinary. Who the hell puts jalapenos in your drink? That sounds
Yeah.
We're also big fans of peanut butter beers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
those
are
are huge right now.
pretty mainstream though.
Yeah, they're common now, but
Yeah. We can tear up some peanut butter stouts and porters.
Scott just had one. I had in the last 2 weeks I had Southern Grist has one here in Nashville, and then I also had at a tap room here. Zool has one out of Knoxville. It was really great as well. And Scott just had one last weekend at the Nashville tap.
Marble Fox just came out with a new one. Everybody's got, and they're, like you said, some are porter, some are stout, some are ales. It's just they're all different. But if they taste like it, they're going to be good. And kind of to those crazy flavors you were talking about, like the taco one. If it tastes like it says it is, it's probably going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Zool had the peanut butter and jelly beer, right? That was a sour.
Yeah.
The mixtape, the fruited sour.
Yeah, that's the one I had about 2 weeks ago, and
they just had another release. I think
when we got there, I didn't get to try it. I was very disappointed.
Yeah, people have been bragging about it, and I'm like, yeah, we finally went to the brewery and they were out of it.
not the way.
Yeah,
I think they had a release 2 days ago out there, and people are just around the corner waiting for it, and it's nuts. It's good. It's really good, but I'm not standing in line.
He's wearing a Hop and Frog shirt, which is up in Akron, Ohio, and they release a blueberry shandy once a year. It lasts for 2 days, 2.5 days.
Well, this year a day.
They sell out in a ridiculously short amount of time. And we were very fortunate to get a 4-pack 1 year, and we've been talking about going back up to get case upon case upon case. And every year when they release it, we're not available. We're on our way back from Denver or way back from Dallas, or God damn it, it sucks because I want this beer so bad.
I need it.
It's like drinking blueberry juice out of a. It's amazing.
It's probably our favorite beer.
It's got to be phenomenal.
That we both like.
Yeah.
Hands down, we will drive to 7 hours just to go grab it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that good.
If they announced they were releasing it right now, I'd cut this podcast off and I'd hop in the truck and drive to Akron right now.
Wouldn't blame you.
How good it is.
And maybe we join us. Maybe we join you.
We gotta go. We're checking out. I gotta go to Akron.
We'll pick this up when you get back.
But we like it so much that they announced this year that they were going to have it. So I reached out to them. I'm like, hey, can you tell me when you're going to release it so I can plan and we can do all that, because we don't live close. And and they're like, okay, let me get back to you. And they finally did. And they're like, it's only going to be on draft this year. And it only lasted a day. So that's how, I don't know. Well, it is that great, but they also don't make enough, which is sad. But
well, it's a really awesome small batch. Like, it's just, I can't imagine how many pounds of blueberries go into the mash. It's ridiculous. That's fucking amazing.
That's crazy.
Hey, you guys, being, obviously you talked about going across the country. What about in your backyard there in Delaware? What's the brewery scene like?
You want our favorites, or do you want numbers? What are you looking for?
How about your favorites?
So I think our first answer, because they did not only, but Big Oyster's my favorite. Not only do they have the Hammerhead IPA, which I was drinking earlier, they did a collab with us that we did with the USS Delaware submarine. They're my hands down favorite. Miss Pillion down in Milford does a great job. First State Brewing Company up in Middletown, Autumn Arch Brewing Company, or Brewing Project, sorry, up in Newark. Who else am I missing? Wilmington Brew Works, which is who Keith's drinking right now. Who else?
I would say that's our favorites.
Yeah, that's pretty much the top of our Delaware list. Dewey Brewing Company their smoothie beers are out of this world.
They're starting to be everywhere now. So
I mean, we always have to tip our hat to Sam and Dogfish Head, because without Sam and what he's done, the brewing community would not be what it is today. I mean, he's just amazing what he's done. But the smaller breweries, I think they do the fun beers that the bigger breweries don't. So
mm-hmm. Hey, go back. You mentioned the collab you guys did. It was the Liberty Risk, because you guys sent us one, which was great.
Did you get to drink it?
What's that?
Did you drink it, or did you just put it on a shelf?
No, we drank it.
And thank you, by the way.
What'd you think?
It was fantastic. We drank it in the car. Right. It was a car beer.
Yeah, that was
coming back from a brewery.
Yeah, that was the weekend of Scott's birthday. We went to a distillery, and then we went all the way down like an hour south from Tullahoma or Manchester to a brewery down there. So Common John. So we had to have a roadie in the car, And that was you guys.
That was one of them.
Yeah, that was you guys.
Yeah, but so talk about that collab. That's really cool. You did it with Big Oyster and the USS Delaware Submarine Association. So talk about that process, and how does that get started? How does it even come to be? What is it that you guys did along the way with it?
Well, so I ended up on a fishing trip, I don't know, probably 2.5 years before this beer was done, with the head brewer at Big Oyster. I was friends with his brother. I had no idea who he was. And we ended up out on a fishing trip. And so we started talking. One thing led to another. And he agreed to do a collab 2.5 years before this beer was released. He was like, look, we can start brewing on Tuesday. And Keith and I, as long as we've been doing Porch Beers USA, we've always wanted it to be about something bigger than us. It's not Keith and Coop. It's not beer.
Or the number of breweries you go to.
Right. We want to benefit a nonprofit or help somebody along the way. So we told Big Oyster, look, we need to put this on ice for a little while until we figure out what's what. I sit on the board of the USS Delaware Submarine Association, and they, at a board meeting, said they wanted to do a beer for the crew. And I was like, check. I've got it. It's already done. All I got to do is call Big Oyster. And so that's kind of how it happened. It was, I think I can speak for both of us. It was delivering that beer to
sailors,
to the crew, was one of the most amazing experiences I think either of us have ever had.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we put 180 cases of beer in a U-Haul trailer and drove it up to Groton, Connecticut, and I got introduced by my former board president, and he was like, "So, when your commanding officer left for your first combat deployment, he said, I want you guys," he was talking to the association, he said, "I want you guys to figure out how to buy them each a beer when they get home." And Coop figured out how to get you a case. You really can't fuck up a speech after that introduction. Like you're
Right.
kind of like you're God at that point, right? Like you just walk up and you can't screw up. So I went up and talked about how the beer happened and whatever, and told him there was a U-Haul trailer outside. And I think, without being too long-winded on the story, we're outside, we're slinging cases, we're not carding anybody, we're just everybody that wants a case is getting it. And there was a kid, I call him a kid, he was 19 or 20 years old. He stuck his head around the end of the trailer and he said, he just looked, and I was like, "Dude, do you want a case of beer?" And he was like, "I can't, I'm not 21 yet." And he hung his head and he walked away. And I remember I looked at Keith and I was like, we fucked up. We did not do something for everybody on this ship. We fucked up. And the cob of the boat, the second in command, had come over a few minutes before the kid did. And he had told me to set aside 25 cases. And so about 5 minutes after that kid had hung his head and walked away, the cob came back over and said, "Hey, Coop, do you have those 25 cases?" And I said, "I do. They're right here." We're throwing them in the back of his truck. And he said, "Look, these are for the guys that are on duty today, guarding the sub. And then there's 7 or 8 kids who haven't turned 21 yet. And I'm keeping their case of beer in the garage until their 21st birthday." And at that point, I was completely like reinvigorated into the idea of what we did. It was amazing that kid's integrity to walk away, and Zach's leadership to think about the kids that hadn't turned 21 yet. That was a special 15 minutes that like it just sealed the deal for us. Like it was super special.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. You got me watering up over here, man. That's a great story. I'm not kidding.
And here we are just the day after 4th of July, and you're talking about that story too.
Yeah,
celebrating our independence. So cheers to you guys. That's really awesome. Really.
That is pretty awesome. And thank you for sending us that too, man. That was cool.
Yeah.
And
no problem.
Do you guys have plans to do something else down the road? I know it's time consuming and all that, and you're kind of trying to find the right situation, but.
Oh yeah, we're gonna keep this ball rolling.
Yeah.
Well, we've already talked to Big Oyster about doing another beer. I don't think I'm ready to talk about it online just yet.
Yeah.
But there's another beer coming from Big Oyster. And then we just reached out and partnered with the Beer Babes.
Yep.
And we're gonna
let you guys know.
Yeah, we're gonna try and do something special with them too.
We love what you guys are doing, and we pay attention to everything you guys are doing out there. So keep up the good work.
And the same here. You guys are doing a great thing.
Let's follow them, Porch Beers USA, on social media. That's Keith and Coop, and I'm Steve Sullivan. And for the Brewery Underground podcast, Scott Touron, what do you say?
Cheers.